Imagine walking the streets of Berlin, Paris, or Rome today, but instead of elected leaders, you're under the ever-watchful eye of kings, emperors, and hereditary rulers. The people move with purpose, but not with power. No elections, no parliaments, only decrees. What if democracy never reached Europe? What if the Enlightenment fizzled before it could ignite revolutions? What if monarchs held on to power not just into the 20th century, but beyond? In this alternate world, the French Revolution never erupts. Louis XVI holds court, not a guillotine. Across the Channel, the British crown never yields. Not to reformers, not to suffragettes. There is no voting booth in this Europe. Power is inherited, not earned. Loyalty replaces liberty. Without the democratic dominoes of 1848, without post-war reforms, the 21st century stands on imperial foundations. Flags still wave, but they carry crests, not causes. And as we enter this world, not of the people but over them, we ask, what did democracy prevent? And what did we almost become? In our world, democracy in Europe was not inevitable. It was born in rebellion, forged in ink and blood. But in this timeline, the spark never catches. The Enlightenment, that surge of human thought that dared to question kings, is choked before it spreads. Philosophers like Rousseau and Voltaire write in fear, their works banned and burned. Without a public thirst for liberty, ideas die quietly. Paris, 1789. In our world, the people stormed the Bastille. In this world, they are stopped at the gates. The king's spies crush the resistance before it begins. The guillotine never rises. Across Europe, monarchies hold firm. The Habsburgs, the Bourbons, the Romanovs, their grip never weakens. Reforms are crushed under polished boots. Without the French example, revolutions of 1848 fizzle before they begin. There are no barricades in Vienna, no cries of liberté in Paris. Newspapers are censored and dissidents vanish without trace. The British Isles, too, resist reform. No Chartist movement, no reform acts. The monarchy, unthreatened, grows stronger. There is no Magna Carta moment reborn, only loyalty, pageantry, and hierarchy. And as the 20th century approaches, what of suffrage? It never arrives. The voices of women, workers, and thinkers are drowned beneath tradition. There are no republics in Europe, only dynasties. Constitutional limits are scraps of paper. Democracy, in this version of events, is stillborn, and the continent forgets it was even imagined. But ideas once sparked don't die easily. Some embers remain, hidden, waiting. And in this silence before a storm, we wonder, how long can order hold when freedom has been erased? The 20th century was meant to be the age of the people, but in this world it becomes the century of the crown. The British crown sits untouched by war or reform. Parliament is ceremonial. Prime ministers are appointed, not elected. The people? They cheer from the sidelines, spectators to their own history. In Austria-Hungary, the Habsburgs adapt, but never collapse. Ethnic divisions are managed, not liberated. Bureaucracy expands, not freedom. And in the East, the Romanovs rule uninterrupted. There is no Lenin, no October Revolution, just more czars and more czarinas. Siberia becomes a deeper prison, not a revolutionary cradle. Technology grows, but liberty does not. Telephones ring in gilded halls, not worker unions. Cars roll down cobblestone roads in royal convoys. Airplanes map the globe, but carry diplomats, not dissidents. The press is owned by the crown. Education praises bloodlines, not critical thought. Censorship becomes culture. In this world, centralized power breeds stagnant peace. Dissenters don't disappear. They simply never emerge. Institutions are permanent, but brittle. Colonialism, too, lives longer. Without democratic pressure, empires expand unchecked. The British Raj continues, the Congo remains Belgian, the sun never sets, and freedom never rises. Even alliances are royal. The world wars as we know them are reshaped. War becomes a chess game between cousins, not nations. Modern institutions, courts, parliaments, human rights, never mature. Laws are handed down, not argued for. And yet, beneath all this glittering order, cracks form. Not all are content. Some remember what might have been. In the hush of this royal Europe, a quiet resistance begins, not with banners but with questions. Without democracy to anchor Europe, war still finds a way, but it speaks with the voice of emperors, not generals. Alliances form not in parliament chambers, but in royal dining halls. The First World War erupts as it always might, a tangle of dynasties and pride. But without democratic pressure from below, peace takes longer. Civilians are pawns, not participants. There are no elected leaders to be voted out, no opposition parties to challenge the war effort. Monarchs double down, for honor, not survival. The result? A longer, bloodier conflict. And when it ends, it's not with treaties, but with imperial stalemates. The balance of power remains, fragile and unreformed. Fascism, that dark answer to democratic collapse, never takes hold. But that doesn't mean peace. Without fascist regimes, there is no Hitler. But without democratic resilience, there is also no Roosevelt, no Churchill. The world isn't divided between freedom and tyranny. It's ruled by competing tyrannies. Communism, too, struggles to rise. Without the collapse of the Russian monarchy, Lenin dies in exile. Stalin never ascends. But ideology finds other forms. Nationalism festers under royal banners. Resistance movements evolve, not in the name of equality, but identity. World War II, as we know it, never arrives, but conflict does. A second Great War begins, not against fascism, but between imperial powers vying for supremacy. The colonies are dragged along. India, Algeria, Korea, still ruled, still fighting. Without democratic allies, revolts are bloodier, longer forgotten. Even America watches cautiously. With no democratic Europe to join, it turns inward. Isolationism becomes doctrine. The free world is never born. And yet, somewhere underground, beneath palaces, behind stained glass, whispers persist. Not of republics, but of rights. Because even in a world without democracy, the idea refuses to die. Across the Atlantic, the United States stands alone, a republic in a world of crowns. There are no democratic allies in Europe, no shared values to anchor global coalitions. In this version of history, America turns inward. The Monroe Doctrine isn't just a policy, it's a fortress. Isolationism becomes not a phase, but a permanent stance. There's no NATO, no Marshall Plan. The U.S. never sets foot on European soil to rebuild. Its influence stops at its shores, or at most its hemisphere. Hollywood thrives but lacks global echo. Jazz plays in Chicago, but not in Paris. The American dream exists, but in isolation. And without Europe's mirror, America never fully defines itself. Without a global democratic cause to lead, it becomes a nation of ideas with no allies to share them. The torch is still held high, but no one stands to see it. Democracy, for all its flaws, gives people a voice. In this alternate world, that voice is missing, not crushed, but never taught to speak. A Europe without democracy is quieter, orderly, but that silence is heavy. There are no protests, no ballots, no debate. The modern Europe we know, vibrant, diverse, defiant, never awakens. Human rights don't become law, justice remains privilege. Without democratic Europe, the world loses a moral compass. It loses leaders who speak not just for nations, but for values. And perhaps most of all, we lose the proof that freedom, even fragile, flawed, and slow, can endure. History didn't have to choose democracy, but we're fortunate that somehow it did.